we've actually got a lot done here in the last couple of days. Been working over the weekend on getting the database built. So the database will record all the different sessions. So whenever a drive is connected or removed, it logs that. It logs the information about the drive, so it will know every drive that it's ever seen. It will log, all of this can be erased, by the way, or disabled, so you don't have to have logging enabled. But if you want it, and I will want it certainly for stats and metrics and just like understanding performance with drives and stuff, I think there's going to be some value to off a large collection of drives. But it will track the drives, the serial number, the vendor, the read speed, the estimated read speed of the drive, sustained read speed, so not just like the cache. And then it will track the sessions, so when the drives were added or removed, and then the instance, it'll capture as much information about that drive in that instance that it was connected. So how many partitions, what the partition table was, whether the write protected status of the drive, it's read only, what the mechanism was for write protection, and a few other things. So it's doing a good job there of tracking the sessions added or removed, whether it's the source or the destination. And then it's also now doing file systems. So I got that working. So every session, there's going to be maybe multiple file systems per drive. And those can change over time, but it will track which drive, which session, and how many file systems, and then information about each file system, whether it's NTFS or FAT or EXT or whatever it is. And so each one will have that, and it'll pull the name of the file system and then a bunch of metadata about the file system. So that is all working, and that's working really well. The other thing that I added was the ability to delete the records within the database. So now in the menu system on the, actually I want to show you, I got an extension cable so now I can drag this thing over here. But yeah, now here in the menu system, close that out. So if you come over to settings, and then you'll see here, there is the delete database. And so if you go ahead and click that, it prompts you and says, hey, you're about to erase all the records. You go ahead and clear that. And then down here, I just got this working. It'll tell you how many rows existed before you deleted it, and then how many rows existed after. So it does a confirmation, and it'll actually do a count of the rows before it deletes it, and then a count of the rows after. So you actually do get that confirmation that everything was deleted. So you can clear that out and get rid of basically any drive records that were logged in there. So it completely clears out everything in the database. So that's working. The other thing, let's see, rate limit. I keep getting rate limit. This is so annoying. And I even upgraded my Copilot to the high, because they came out with Copilot Plus or whatever it is, and it goes from $10 to $30 to $40, and upgraded that immediately. Ever since I upgraded, I've been rate limited like nonstop. Now I'm using Claude 4 basically since last Tuesday, so that could be why. But it just seems like there's a lot of rate limiting happening. Like today, I'm probably on my 10th rate limit. Do it again, wait a minute and do it again. Hopefully it works. So anyways, there is now a switch option. This is something that I have to set when I run the orchestrator. The orchestrator is the software on the host system. This is all the Go code that basically manages everything. And I now have a switch option, or there's a config actually where you can go in and enable or disable the database. And so this is really cool. The way that it's doing its drive data collection is drives connected. It goes through and pulls all the information about the drive, and it stores those in JSON files, but it stores those in memory. So it's not written to disk anywhere. So you can completely disable the database. The database is like long-term storage record keeping, but if you don't want that, if you don't want anything written to disk, it doesn't need it. You could just disable that. So now there's an option in the configurations the configurations. I haven't added it to the screen yet, but it's still, it is within the JSON config file that I can edit. And so when I run the orchestrator, it'll just bypass the database. So everything still works. It's still like getting the metadata that it will need to process a drive, but it's all stored in memory, all in the JSON structures. And then if you have the database enabled, then it will start recording things to the database. But can totally disable it, so nothing gets written to disk. And actually, I think that will be good for future databases. So I'm using SQLite right now, which is perfect for these systems, but eventually I think what will happen is these will be endpoint devices that basically like send information back to the mothership, whoever the client is or customer that is paying for the system. So I think that at least having everything in the JSONs and then dumped out to a database. Right now I'm using SQLite, but I think for an enterprise solution where these are endpoint devices that are being controlled from a centralized location, having that JSON then database structure will actually make it easy to go to something like Postgres or MySQL, or that's got a little bit better server client database management structure. Yeah, I mean, I think that sums it up. That's it feels like a pretty quick rundown of everything that was done. It took all weekend, but I'm really happy. And that's the thing that's amazing is, like I say, it took all weekend. It would have taken me probably a week or weeks or months before to do this. And now with AI, like I'm still figuring out some of the nuances, and it changes pretty frequently, but it's just amazing that you can get this stuff done. It's frustrating because, sometimes like I'll sit there and I'll lose a whole morning. I'll lose like 4 hours just like trying to get AI to implement something for me, and just realizing that I have to scrap it and start over because it has just gotten to the point where it's either so confused or it's just not vibing, and then I have to start over. But the times that I have done that, it seems like it seems like it learns from that process, and then like I will reset everything and I'll tell it. I had this happen where I was like, look, I reset everything, it was a mess, we need to start over and let's do this again. And it was like, oh yeah, no, this was totally a disaster, and this is a better way to go than trying to fix it. So I thought that was pretty funny. So now, yeah, it will sometimes I'll lose hours just trying to get it to work and have to give up, start over. But it seems to learn from that, and then it's usually actually pretty quick after that it'll figure it out. So I'm, just able to keep moving on. And I have to try different approaches with it. Sometimes it'll be a very like stepped out manual approach, like I want to do this thing, add this here, and I think this is where it needs to be implemented. Can you do that? Or it might get confused, and I'm seeing it's like it's touching files that it shouldn't be touching, and I need to probably give it a little bit more specificity and clarity. And so I will actually have to go back and I guess re-educate it. So I'll go back. I had this happen today because I spent a couple hours fighting with it this morning, or actually last night. And then this morning what I did was I went and I did a complete update on all of my context documents for the MCU, the microcontroller code, the LVGL GUI code, and the host system code. So it's just structures, functions, different like how things interact and what they are, just so that this next piece that I was trying to implement was that the AI would have actually like up-to-date context as to like where things are and how they were working there. So I did that this morning, and then what I spent hours fighting with last night, I mean, it was done in like half hour. It's just, so that was good. Yeah, so I have to do that sometimes, go back and not retrain it, but like go back and re-educate it or update my context documents. And then other times, like I'll have to switch it off, go into ask mode, and toggle between like ask or edit, because edit clears the history. And so I'll go ahead and clear the history and just kind of like start fresh so that it doesn't have confused context like bring into the current conversation. And then maybe I'll switch models and kind of go back and forth. So there's still a lot of playing around with it that I have to do to get it to work, but eventually I've always been able to find a solution that meets my needs. So very happy with that. I'm very happy with where things are at. The database is awesome. The serial communication between the microcontroller and the host system it's awesome. The touchscreen, super happy. It's very responsive. I can swipe through things. And the secondary screen, of course, I'm happy about that. It wasn't necessary. I'm sure it'll be useful. I use it every day now, actually. Like I'm using it to watch the drives rather than, so in the top here, you can see there's a source and destination drive. I don't know if that's in focus. A source and destination and utility drive count, but that's all displayed down here. And then you actually get this write protection. So if I pop out my source drives, you'll see that write protected goes away. And the destination drives, it does not care about being write protected because they're destination drives. So go ahead and I had a little hub plugged into it. So I'll plug that in. Oh, I'm not synced up, am I? Oh yeah, okay. We got 4. And then plug in the source, and you can see the write protection count. Now that's a verification. So the system is write protected through the kernel, through UDEV rules, just all the time on the source port. So it doesn't matter, like as soon as you plug it in, it's already read only. We'll also then go through and try to manually make sure that it's read only. And then it does a verification on top of that. So that's what this is. So once it has gone through and verified that it is read only, that's when you'll see the write symbol pop up. So that's good. But yeah, awesome. Moving forward, it's in a great spot. Yeah, I'm excited for where it's going to go. I got I had this other little Sony camera now that I've got up here, so I can actually do overhead shots. So I'm hopefully in a couple weeks be at a point where I'm building out new hardware. I'm still waiting on the 15th gen Ace's hardware to actually come out and be available, at least the stuff that I want, so that I can get my hands on that. Right now I'm just like testing some pretty old, and I've got this Latte Panda, the Delta 3 that I bought, that is, I mean, it's x86, but it's really low power. But, you know, the amazing thing is that at least coding in like VS Code and using AI is most of the horsepower is on the server end, so it doesn't really impact that much. But yes, I'm hoping to get into some hardware stuff, and then I'll be able to use the overhead and start actually giving like more examples and stuff like that. So it's coming along. Just gotta keep banging away at it and make sure that I stay focused on getting an MVP out rather than do fancy stuff. But yeah. So anyways, thanks for watching. That's what I got. That's it. All right. See ya.